We're live. Hi, everyone.
Hello
We're back.
again.
We're back. Slight technical weirdness and a bunch of running to get drinks and things, but here we are. Let me put on live chat. Let me put on live chat. Does everybody like the new thumbnail for the members? I did that today. Um,
I like it.
okay, we can relax in here. This is so nice.
I don't think
Um,
we've
Hey,
ever asked anybody
Cassidy.
what I don't think we've ever asked what do you guys think of the new golden eye,
yeah, do you like that?
our new
Also,
logo?
big news, big news. Our website that's one of the reasons I haven't been doing much lately because I rebuilt our website. In fact, I mean we have a new one. I'm going to put the link in.
Yeah, I was
Where
actually looking at your Facebook earlier. There's some parts in your Facebook that have to be updated as well, Susan, just so you know.
my Facebook? Oh, does it? Do I still say old things?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
know I never update shit? I'm so bad. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, first off, let me go to our new website. I'm going to put the link in. It's neogenianoculus dot com. And if you go to our old website, you should get bumped in. You should get, forwarded or whatever. Okay, here we go. Neogenian Oculus, copy over to here. I'm putting this in here.
Everybody says they like the new Neogenian Oculus, the new logo. They like the
I like it too.
yeah. Go check out our website. Some of our videos on there, and it'll be growing. We'll put some new stuff on there, and
Yeah,
you know.
I worked hard on that website, and I had to learn WordPress fast, and I'm not up to speed on it. I did the best I could. I know there's something I could not get the search bar to work, so I have to figure that out. But anyway, I hope you guys like it. It is up to date with even the latest last week's live stream. They're easy to add now. Hope to be adding articles and more videos. We are
Maybe a
working
What's
on
the
link to
more.
our
actual
store
website?
or
Say it again
something.
so I can
I
look
just
at
I just put the link in. It's in the chat. In the chat, in the
I see
live
it.
chat. Neogenian Oculus, no underscores, no nothing, all small letter. Neogenianoculus.com, and if you go to our old site, it should forward. If it doesn't forward for anybody, please let me know because that means something's not working. But the old
And
site
maybe
link.
we'll have some kind
Thank
of
you.
link to our store on there, but
Thanks,
that's kind of
Cassidy.
a back burner thing right now.
Oh yes, I know.
Philip, you look great in these. Have you seen the website, Philip?
Yeah, I have seen it.
You look great in these. Anybody who hasn't looked at the website yet, go look at the website. Philip looks awesome.
Yeah, those are our
Thank you.
thumbnails, and I had fun.
Can you believe that I do all of those thumbnails on my phone?
Oh my god.
Nice. I love that. I see. I don't have the patience for it. Like, I know that I feel like if I sat down and like I really did it, but like having to do reels and stuff like that, just sitting
Yeah.
there knowing that I could actually just do a reel in like 15 to a half an hour, but like high quality ones might take a little bit longer. I'm like, gosh, like you gotta like cut out your whole picture, find good pictures to
Yeah.
put over top. I'm good.
Just playing with the thumbnail for the main live stream tonight was driving me crazy, and I could not get the text. I'm just learning how to use Photoshop as well. I had a different program, and so Philip has gone. It sucks right now, the text, but
Yeah.
Philip went in, took that text out, put a better text on, and I will change the thumbnail for the public because the title
So,
I was not happy.
just real quick, Joanna said, "What a great night tonight," with three little fire emojis, and Becca said Lee was on fire tonight in the live stream. And yeah, I'm glad that you guys enjoyed that. We enjoyed it. It's different having a guest on, but Lee did excellent. It's nice that you guys can finally see Lee,
This is our
and
first one. This is
yeah,
the first guest one we've ever had.
and
Well,
yeah, we're open to having more people on in the
yeah,
future. You know.
Mark, we had Mark on. Mark's a mod though, but this is our first community member, and we are going to keep doing this if you guys are liking it. And
I could think of a few people that we could have on. I don't want to call out any
I
names and
mean,
put anybody on the spot, but
when I mentioned it
yeah,
last week or whatever, I had Lee in mind. I was so happy that Lee said yes. But and of course,
Whew.
Mark knows that he's, and it should go without saying that we're definitely having Mark back on. For we just I just need time to breathe a little bit, and I think Philip does too,
Yeah.
because it's just we're
I know
trying to do a
I'm in
lot.
the middle of two different scripts right now for our next scripted video. I'm
Yeah,
working on them. I know we've talked about them with you guys, and I even have a huge outline for a third script for another scripted video. So
yeah.
we have stuff coming. Thank you for your patience.
Um,
Good stuff is coming.
yeah, we
I
we
do hope to be able to help with some of the scripts in the future to make it a little bit easier. I do want us
Yeah.
to be able to help you guys facilitate this channel so it can grow and flourish because there's a lot that we can still do and there's a lot of outreach we can
yeah,
spearhead with this.
yeah, and
Yeah. I always
that's what we're all
tell
about.
I was going to say, I always tell Susan, I'm so proud of Susan because we have worked as a team for almost a year now, just the two of us on this channel, doing great things, trying to make it better for you guys, coming out with great videos. It's definitely not easy, but we love doing it and we're a good team.
We do work really well together, and I think that has saved us. Honestly, good communication and also the different skills that we bring, and it meshes really well. But we want to grow. We definitely want, and we definitely want the community to. This is a really good way of having people come in and
Yeah.
hopefully come together and do more. And
I think you can even see the growth if you go back to like some of the first videos that I was in. When I first kind of joined under the Hyperion Source, I was doing the whole courses and I was busy with that. But eventually, I started helping make videos, and you can see the progression of how we've gotten better as a team. Susan has worked on her editing skills and gotten so much stuff down,
I
and I think
love
that
that.
I
Yeah.
think our content, and now I'm writing scripts and
Oh,
doing more presenting and
yeah.
stuff, and I think our content has just gotten better and better, and we can
Yeah.
foresee so much of the direction that we want to move in for you guys.
Absolutely. And I'm going to work with Lee on writing as well. I know you have the new article coming out. And
It's actually about interstar actualization for anybody who's interested and look forward to that.
awesome.
It's
Awesome.
going to be really good. It's
Well,
really lengthy though, so I don't know. I don't know if it's better to chop it into pieces and post it as a whole thing. So I'm kind
I'll
of
help
mixing
you with
out.
that. I'll help you with that because sometimes if it's too overwhelming, it's better as a series. So we'll work on that. There's a lot coming, you guys. Something that I completely failed. Who was it that asked me? Was it Philip or Lee right before we went live? One of you said, "Did I do the Quokka picture thing for the
Oh,
vote?"
that was me.
Was that you,
Philip the
Philip? And
big
I said I failed completely. I have failed you guys. I am so sorry.
Oh,
My plan was to make sure I have one picture. I think it's one of Pook's. Well, I think it's one of Pook's pictures in a folder that says Quokka pictures, and it's one. I've got one of them. I need all of them, and I need them in a folder, and I know, I'm so embarrassed. This has gone on for so long. And once I have them in a good size, I also need to know that they can all be blown up big enough to go on at least a t-shirt. I think that's the biggest item that we would put it on because the winner probably would want a t-shirt. I mean, maybe mugs are easy because they're smaller. But bottom line is I need all the damn pictures. I'll number them all, put them on the community board, and everybody can go in and just pick their top 3 in that order, and we'll try to figure out the vote. And have I done it? No, because I was working on the website. We're working on this. I mean, every time we do anything, it takes time. We had to meet we zoomed with Lee. What was it, on Wednesday? Just
yeah.
as a practice Zoom and make sure everything is smooth. There's always background work to go in these things. And anyway, but I just wanted to say something. I don't think Morg's in here, but talk about video editing because I really enjoy video editing. What the fuck, you
Video.
guys? Wasn't that amazing today? That wasn't just me, right?
Oh, it was one of the best videos I've ever seen
Never
from
mind the
Morg.
script or that's and the delivery. That's in a world by itself. But just the video, right? Am I right?
I mean, you got to think about the writing, the research, all the everything that goes into that. I was
Yeah,
looking at just
And the
how the
graphics.
writing
the
was. Yeah, right.
graphics.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy good. And then I look at that going, oh, because like that, I want to be
I
that
was
good,
too. I
right?
was too. I was like, "Ooh, my video
We
that I'm
need to
working on, I
step
gotta
things.
step
Wait,
it up."
but you know what? That's good. I love seeing that because that is what motivates you to learn more and be better. And that was a big. That's a yeah. I don't. He's not. They're not in here. I'm pretty sure. But their ears would be like whatever it is tingling. But yeah, that quality is amazing. I mean, I'll tell them later that you guys all went crazy too, and it wasn't just me who noticed it. It was the delivery. Everything was so good. So anyway, the point is that we don't expect to be that good. We don't have that ability, you know.
Not yet. I mean, this is something that takes time.
Mark.
They developed it. I mean, we've watched Morg evolve over the years, like, and
Yep.
Morg has allowed us to interact with their curriculum. They have on purpose taken us through a series of ideas, mapped out completely different worldviews, paradigms, reality tunnels, didn't tell you what to think, but was informing the populace of what these ideas are, who these people who are thinking about these ideas are, what kind of power they've had in history, and all this other stuff. Because that context matters. A lot of the what we're missing in the justice system with the missing aspect of care is the context that goes with it, making sure that we're not just throwing people in jail just to throw them in jail, and we're not just fining people because they parked on the street. Like,
I
just the
know.
insane
Yeah.
level
Yeah.
of things in the world. It's
Well,
crazy.
I mean, look at the fact that there are people dying of hunger, women who wanted to be able to have abortion as health care who can't do it, who can't do that. They don't even have maternity care. And there's people who are having meltdowns over a Barbie movie. Like that,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my
Right?
gosh.
Right?
The world is on fire. Like,
It's
I can't stress that enough. And
it
you think that it is important to slander Barbie.
yeah,
What?
yeah. Talk about
Like a movie that people probably won't even care about in a year, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. It's like I mean I want to see the movie. I know the a lot of the themes in it are things that I like. So if it comes in an entertaining way, that'll be great. Is it at the top of my list? No, but eventually I'll see it. But the point is that this is what's in the news. This is what they're talking about instead of the fact that people are dying, people are hungry, people need
Oh
insulin.
my gosh. Oh my,
I know.
literal.
Breathe, breathe.
And
You
all
are
of the
so much like me, Lee.
injustices, all of the injustices in Iran that are not on mainstream
Yes.
media.
Why?
You know,
Why
I,
are
I recently I recently told Susan that in Iran, women's beauty salons are being taken away because they're deemed as un-Islamic.
yeah, it's punishment.
It's
It's
another
punishment.
level of
I get a lot of my
oppression.
news from Elise. Thank you, Elise and Susan, for posting on Instagram about what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's so terrible. Like, there's so many things happening. If you guys weren't posting, there would be no way for me to know.
That's how I find my stuff. You find one person who start. It was who got me on the Iran when I knew nothing about it before. Honestly, when the women's revolution started, it was when I started to find out what was going on over there. I didn't know that this regime was so oppressive and that the people have been fighting against it and wanting something different. Don't think of the people as the government. They're not the same. They're fighting against that. And the injustice, oh, here I go, I'm on my Iran thing. But
We love your soapboxes. We
okay,
love your
well, good,
soapboxes.
because you know why? On this one, it's so important to me because I've said this before. A lot of times I will post things because I'll come across something that is just outrageous me, something sexist or racist or homophobic, and I'll post it knowing full well it's just performative. It's not going to do anything. I'm just mad and I want to post about it. Iran
Yeah,
is
I
different.
agree. Ren said TikTok is a good news source. There's a
Yes, it is very
Yeah,
good.
Susan always says you have to get your algorithm
Oh,
right in
yeah.
order to get the right
I'll,
stuff.
I'll I'll talk to you about the algorithm, and anybody can come to me and get some good channels to follow. But the thing with Iran and why I push it, and if you follow me and you see my stories, please feel free to repost, find other sources, and post about it, is because the hash, and I always hashtag. Don't just repost. Make sure you put the hashtags in. You can see the ones that
Hmm.
I use. They come up all the time for me, and I put in at least four. And the reason is it does save lives. People whose lives are at stake. My heart just breaks when a new person is in danger, and they're begging the name to be shared. I think I have the stop executions in Iran as one of my hashtags, because it's just horrific, and they do pay attention to the coverage, and it will keep people. It has kept people from being executed, and they've even gotten out of prison because of it. So that's something that's not just performative. If you even just, I used to try to do something every day. It's just awful, and it's so, I don't understand
I mean,
why.
these are
Okay,
people who are being killed. Like,
I
this is
oh,
literally
horrifically.
people's
Well,
sons
they
and daughters. It's awful.
well the men, they hang them in the most horrific way. I don't even want to go there. And the
Yeah.
women, they don't do that. They abduct them, do horrible things to them, and then murder them basically, and then their body gets
Yeah.
delivered back. They don't do public executions of women, but they do kill them. They end up dead. So and I don't
Imagine
understand.
why they're not doing what they're doing to women in public. Imagine.
Oh yeah, because they don't, but they punish them. And this thing about the beauty salons is a punishment to the women of Iran, saying if you don't
Yeah.
do what we're saying, you're not, you're not wearing your head scarves and things.
The same with also saying that the girls can't go to school. Was
Yes,
that in
that's
Afghanistan?
Afghanistan. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely heartbreaking. It's awful. They're fighting, and they're not getting the attention that they need. That's why we can't just have it be like a fad. It needs to be ongoing, and I don't understand why the rest of the world, like, this is where I want to, like, scream at our government. Why aren't you doing more to support the, like, why aren't you doing more to support the people? It's not just the women of Iran, the men of Iran too. They are standing up for. Okay, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm just gonna.
Philip, can I ask
No,
you a
the
Ugh.
question?
soapbox is. Yeah, go ahead.
So, can I ask you what in your life happened? Not necessarily like a specific thing, but maybe something, some period of time or something that you were going through that I don't want to necessarily say was an aha moment, but was a moment that led you to start thinking about the world differently, and then also your place in the world and what you could do to affect the world once you started to have these ideas and thoughts.
Well, I know we talked about this a little bit the other night, and I've mentioned it in a couple streams. When I started to leave religion, I renounced my Christian faith around 13, 12, 13, 14, around there. And so I know I mentioned to you when we spoke privately in our Zoom the other night, uh, my thirst for knowledge was bred out of darkness, if that makes sense. So all of the things that were, hold on, I clicked something. There we go. So all of the things that were uh, taboo or that I was told were evil or dark or things, I had this like huge thirst for anything that was off limits. So I know I've said in a lot of different streams, my first go to was Satanism, and I kind of tried to traverse through the philosophy of that. And there's a lot of nihilism and LaVeyan Satanism and stuff. It's very individualistic. And so I kind of moved away from that and got into other philosophies. And when I found Morgue, it was probably around 2015. They were just about ready to publish the metaphorical suicide book. And so I got to know a lot of different people on Instagram. Susan was the first person that I ever met in this, and Jan were the first two people that I ever met in this movement or around this knowledge. And so when I kind of got into this community, I was looking at even more philosophies, that Morg was talking about, and I kind of branched my way out. And I'm kind of the same way. I don't really follow one necessary thing. I like to dip my toes into all of these different philosophies and form a cohesive picture. And so, since we were talking about reality tunnels tonight, my personal reality tunnel, as you said, finding my place in the world, I wanted to understand what the true nature of reality was, because when you're religious, when you have this belief in God, you're kind of force fed this fake idea of reality. You were created by God, you worship God, you die, you go and be with God. And when I renounced that, I understood that that was not the case. I had so many contradictions that I found with religion. I didn't align with that anymore. So basically, to sum up, what you're asking me is, I had a healthy thirst for knowledge, and I just continue to seek out anything that helps me understand reality, who I am, what we are as Zedic minds. I love the mathematical aspect of reality. I love the philosophical aspect. I'm very intuitive. I'm not necessarily an intense mathematically trained person. I can't say that I have a super in-depth knowledge of mathematics, but you can understand things intuitively, and I love to increase my knowledge. It's a journey for all of us, and I love to try and figure out my place in the world on a continual basis. I hope that answers your question. I kind of went on a little tangent there, but there's a lot to it. If you ask anybody that question, everybody has a complicated backstory of
Yeah.
how they came to this movement, of how they understand the information.
Yeah. Lee, since you're in here for people to meet you, why don't you, if you want to, share how you kind of like what your development was in coming to where you are now?
Okay. So, Philip, I think that that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think it's very interesting to really be able to have these kinds of conversations around breaking old thought patterns, because
Yeah.
what I find is one of the most helpful things is to explore your mirror self to help break out of your conventional thinking, because once you are willing to on purpose be humiliated, be humbled, to be wrong,
Mhm.
to realize that some of your old ideas aren't true, and the only way to get to that truth is to explore them, which, like going from Christianity to Satanism or something like that, it's so completely contrasting. There, any
Yeah.
real authentic Christian would unalive themselves
Hmm.
before they would on purpose move to a place like Luciferianism or Satanism, because
Hmm.
that they believe so authentically in the awful aspect of that they've decided in their mind. Not that it's true, but the
Yeah.
concept that they have, right? So for you to be able to leave your old map and explore a new dark map, a map that you have no true knowledge of. You only know propaganda, hate filled understandings, very skewed. So you're on purpose walking through the fog trying to
Yeah.
uncover this knowledge, right? And you're like,
Well, I was
is this really not me? Maybe this is me, right?
I was gonna say, I think the reason it was so easy for me was because I left Christianity with anger, not necessarily at myself, but I was angry at the institution of religion. Because once I realized that all of that stuff was false, I wanted to understand why the adversary was the adversary, or why everything that you're taught not to follow is forbidden. So that's why I mentioned the taboo things. They say that the devil is the adversary, all of this stuff is evil and off limits. That's why my thirst for knowledge was sparked through darkness, because I was angry that I finally understood all of this was false. The whole structure of religion crumbled in my mind, and I sort of did feel free after that. But I also had the anger that so many people are still indoctrinated into that. So that's why I kind of first took the step into darkness before I could move on into enlightenment, I guess you could say.
So I have a similar background to Susan, as in I wasn't specifically indoctrinated into any type of religion or paradigm, not even capitalism or anything like that. I think that capitalism is a particular type of mindset that you can be educated
Hmm.
into when you
Yeah.
are on purpose told that you are going to live your life getting educated to get a job on purpose, to service a particular purpose in society, to pay taxes. There are people whose pride comes from being able to pay taxes. And that's
Yeah.
not necessarily a bad thing. It's just unfortunate that the taxes that they're paying are being used and stolen by the worst kind of people. But we won't talk about that. So for me, I didn't really have to escape religion, but I was a very delusional child. I truly believed that the magic that I've seen in cartoons and anime were things that were possible or going to be possible as long as I believed it hard enough, if I studied this knowledge hard enough, right? And a part of that was definitely really intuitive. It was seeing things like Sailor Moon, where women are, or young girls are out here fighting darkness and looking for love and still trying to overcome their issues and really just exploring themselves and showing weakness. And it's so crazy because a cartoon, an anime like Sailor Moon, where a lot of people do not like the main character because they call her a crybaby and all this other stuff, I identified with that extremely hard because the people in my life also called me a crybaby because I was too sensitive or I had too many thoughts. I was asking too many questions and stuff like that because things didn't make sense, right? So for me, it was more about like I actually was illiterate growing up until maybe third or fourth grade. I grew up during the No Child Left Behind era. So as
Hmm.
long as you weren't a problem child and your grades were at a particular level, I'm pretty sure you could have all D's and you could pass. Thankfully, of course, I didn't have all D's, right? But a lot of my schooling growing up was pure intuition, looking at the paper, reasoning with inside of my mind, and then putting answers down. And through intuition alone, I was able to pass all the way through high school. I didn't have to sit down and open any type of textbook and on purpose learn academically to achieve these answers. And for me, it made sense because I believed in magic. So, of course, I was going to be able to pull answers out of thin air. But really, of course, if you're taking notes, paying attention in class to a certain degree, all the information is lying somewhere in your unconscious mind. It's just about being able to pull those answers up or having the rational function to listen to a problem and be able to solve it by yourself, right? Unfortunately, I am slower. So even though I do enjoy math, Morg's math streams have literally almost always been my favorite streams. And I love all of Morg's streams, but the math streams in particular, I'd be in there sweating.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, because what was the point of learning math our whole lives if we're not learning it philosophically? Like to understand the underlying nature of reality through
Yeah.
mathematics would completely change how we interact with the world. If from first grade, you're like, yeah, you should learn numbers because even though I'm teaching you English, mathematics is the universal language. Granted, as our culture, we're learning Spanish or Italian, so of
Hmm.
course that's important. But if we want to have a holistic view of reality, we want to understand that mathematics is fundamental. It is important, and the more integrated you bring that knowledge into being, when you interact with the world, it completely changes everything. That's your reality tunnel just in itself, just that simple aspect by itself.
So, speaking of reality tunnels, and since we've talked about our past, all three of us have kind of briefly touched on, aspects of our past. I have a question for both of you. So, since our topic today was reality tunnels, would you say that your reality tunnel that you're in now is at its best state in your life? Are you in the best reality tunnel composition that you've ever been in?
Oh, good
Does that
question.
make sense?
Good
Does
question.
that make sense? Do you
Yeah.
feel like your reality tunnel that you're currently in benefits you the most? Are you the happiest in your current reality tunnel as it is now?
I, I'm going to say, while Lee is thinking, I'm going to say I hate saying that I have a problem with saying that I'm in the best anything at any time about
Yeah.
anything. I always think there's improvement because I already know there's things that I have not. It's just same with like shadow work or anything else. There's things that I have not identified, and other people can see it, I'm sure, in me, the way that we look at other people and say, oh, I can identify areas that you have issues with, whereas from my perspective, it's something I just am not aware of yet, and I have to get to there. So I would never say that I am where. Is it the
No, I
best
mean
place I've
like
ever been?
the best thus far.
Well, then from that perspective, yes, because it's a constant growth process.
Yeah.
So I don't believe, taken on anything that's not good for me. I've shed things that I think I should have shed, and it's a constant improvement. So from that point of view, yes, I would say that coming to this material and the development and what I have learned has gotten me to where my reality tunnel is the best it's been from my whole life. But yeah, but does that mean that it's the best it will ever be? Definitely not. I always
So
think there's room for improvement.
after your answer, and I do want to get to you, Lee, as well. My next question, my part two to that, and hopefully you can also answer this, Lee. So, do you think we can even conceive of the best possible reality tunnel, our own individual one?
You,
Because we haven't gotten to that point yet, and we haven't evolved to that point of
yeah.
consciousness yet. So, is it even possible to conceive of the best possible reality tunnel?
I was thinking about earlier, kind of, this is sort of the same thing. Um, I when I was looking into the people who coined the term and came up with it. You just read Mark's comment, didn't you, Lee?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
knew it. I knew it. Okay, and I started to think because the point of talking about the reality tunnels, I think it was either for Timothy Leary or Robert Anton Wilson. I'm not sure which one I read it in. Was to really try to, you know, get rid of to be able to see things without the limitations. I think it's sort of like seeing things as they are without this artificial filter that we put on
Yeah.
things. And if that is the case, I think that might be something to achieve. But in order to do that, you would have to give up some filters that are useful, like critical thinking filter. Like I want that, you know.
Mm.
But I think getting rid of filters um, that I have filters. This is a good example. I have a filter that I know is very strong that makes me very aware of my surrounding, my where I live, the way people around me live, and it's very noticeable to me when I hear Lee talking about the reality tunnel you are in the situation you're in. Just your job alone coming in, and we'll have you on to talk more about that, because I've already decided that we need live streams on what we all think of the education system, way we can improve all sorts of other aspects. But just listening to you speak about the reality tunnel that is very, very prevalent in your life because you interact with these children who are, from a very extreme,
as young as first grade,
yeah.
all the way to high school.
And that is a reality tunnel that is like, you can tell talking to you that is strong.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to think that people are kind of like, because I've always thought of myself as very just average, and when you start to think about the fact that reality is very, very, very different, for someone, a kid that like you work with living in Delaware, or somebody in India or somebody in Siberia, it's so different. And I have to remind myself that the way they experience this is so alien to me. And that is a fault of my own reality tunnel, my own interpretation. I'm aware of it, but it needs a lot more. It needs a lot more work. Um, so what was your
So
question?
the second question was, do you think it's possible to conceive of the best possible
Oh, okay.
reality?
So then I was thinking, well, what would the best reality tunnel be? And I think it would be one in which you still have your critical thinking. It makes you aware, very, very aware of reality tunnels, the existence of them and other people,
Yeah.
but it removes all of the things like the filter that I just talked about that's strong for me and allows me, like I see it sort of getting transparent in that I can really see the collective, all of the collective experiences. I'm aware of all of that as opposed to my own
That's
more
interesting.
limited uh, tunnel, which is very opaque, even if it's
Well,
colorful.
that's very interesting. Thank you for that. And I also want to ask Lee those two questions. So, one, do you feel like you're at the best reality tunnel that you've ever been in your progress? And question two, do you think we can conceive of the best possible reality tunnel?
So I'm going to answer them backwards. When it comes
Okay.
to the best possible reality tunnel, I don't look at the world as being shaped just by our reality tunnels. How I look at it is the development of our mental functions as a whole. And what I would rather is that reality tunnels be formed under a very structured function of mind instead of being so loose and intuitive, being something that is deeply rooted in reason and is branched or has vines that also branch out into intuition, compassion, empathy, stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want us to have a function of mind that is so structured about how our reality tunnels come to be. And Susan was actually talking about pretty much without saying it in these ways, how I interpret it, because under my own paradigm, how I like to frame things is, like I said before, we talked about this, excuse me briefly, is to look at us as psychics or espers, minds with functioning abilities that affect the world, such as our sensory apparatuses and stuff. And if we were able to develop an ability that, say, we put our palms together and we touched, and you could literally share your thoughts, your feelings, your memories with me, that would be a completely different life experience. It would be on a
Mm-hmm.
completely different type of intimacy. And there are so many people who would be against that. They would never want to know someone that intimately. And then
Yeah.
there are going to be plenty of people who want that desperately because they are so empty on the inside, or they're in so much need of the feeling of other because they lack that sense of other, or their sense of self in other, right? They're looking for themselves in other people still, right? That would help facilitate those feelings and help people. I think that when we are talking about reality tunnels just in and of themselves, being able to conceive of the perfect reality tunnel, I think the we can conceive of its function, not what it would be. So we
Yeah.
can start looking at it as something that we would want to tell us the truth or want to relate to others, you know? So in that sense, we could imagine or picture or structure a more perfect version of what a reality tunnel's functionality could be, right?
I think
Without
it
it actually knowing.
I think it's almost like saying, I was thinking as you were talking, it'd be great to, when you're little, have someone instill in you a reality tunnel that lets you be aware of reality tunnels so that the very idea of a reality tunnel, so that your reality tunnel would be, you'd be cognizant of it so as not to get things attached to it that would cause you problems, that would add filters on that you don't want. It's almost like being given instructions on how to keep your reality tunnel as transparent as possible, but keep the aspects, the things that you do need.
Yeah. And I
So
was
I
also
think,
thinking, I was
go
also
ahead.
thinking while you were talking, Lee, I thought of a third possibility is that when you ask people that if they can conceive of the best possible reality, or reality tunnel rather, it's extremely subjective because what one person wants reality to be for them may not be the reality that somebody else wants. So if you ask a billionaire that question, what if you could conceive of the best possible reality tunnel, they would say towers of gold and vaults full of money and cars, luxury cars on every street, but for them, or whatever, So I think it's extremely subjective on who you ask what the best possible reality tunnel would be. But anyway, I do still want to hear your answer to the first question of, do you think your individual reality tunnel is at the best place it's ever been?
So I struggle with the avatar perspective in my day-to-day life. Ever since I was a child, even when I was interacting with my friends, I would tell my friends that like I was born on a plane over the ocean, like I'm not American, or I'm an alien from the planet Thanagar, right? So I would play into these delusional ideas of being othered because just so anybody who doesn't necessarily know my background, I was a foster child. So just the scenario that I grew up in, I already did not fit in with the people that I lived with, the neighborhood, the schools and stuff like that. Thankfully, my sense of self is powerful enough to look for ways to survive, right? And I was able to start understanding how other people thought and use my ability to speak to keep myself safe by currying favor, right? I started to become more popular. I was able to start understanding people's more complex thoughts and help them achieve a certain level of inner peace. A lot of people would come to me and ask me questions like, oh, I'm in this kind of relationship issue, or I'm having problems with my parents and stuff like that. And as somebody who doesn't have parents, and I want to help these other people not be crazy, not fight with people who are supposed to care with them, I have to put myself in a place that I have no understanding of, right? And I have to try and be compassionate. So when we're talking about people who have abusive parents or mentally ill parents and stuff like that, I have my biological parents have a series of mental illnesses. Um, it's it's very hard to convey to people the spectrum of mind that everyone's on. So for me, trying to form my own reality tunnel, trying to understand my place in the world, it was more that there was a very lack of place in this world for me. I'm also queer, so being queer, black, having extremely powerful intuitions, I was somebody that I had downloads. Like my intuitions would come to me as downloads. I would be in the shower, minding my business, and all of a sudden I would be flooded with information, right? And I'd be like, oh, I just got a download. And a lot of people, they go crazy instead of being able to sit down calmly and think about it. So during one of the hardest parts in my life, when I was going through this awful breakup, right? I was working at this job creating medical supplies. And during this time, I had already been watching Morgue for quite a while, but I was like, I have to have access to what's going on. And so I bought my YouTube subscription. I made sure I signed up Patreon, everything. And while I was at work going through this horrific breakup under extreme mental duress, instead of working my capitalistic job, what I ended up doing was pulling out napkins and writing down all of my thoughts. And actually, I have the book right here. Is it this one? So this book is a collection of, oh, wrong book. Where's the other book? Hold on. I have a book that's like this. Is it this one? See if I can find it. And if you look at it, sorry if you guys can't see it. It has a bunch of like notes
Oh
inside
Wow.
of
yeah.
it.
Wow.
I spent every night going through all of my thoughts because I did not want to be mentally ill. I did not want to be psychotic. I did not want to be manic. I wanted to be healthy. So the only way to do that was to write down the crazy thoughts, the intrusive thoughts that would not stop plaguing me about why I was still in this relationship with a person who did not care about me, who on
Yeah.
purpose wanted to inflict mental harm because they were paranoid delusional themselves, right?
Right.
So I spent all this time just making sure that I'm writing note after note after note, just so I could find reason, so I could
Mhm.
understand and gain insight.
Yeah.
And thankfully, this isn't something that I have to go through every day. I actually, after I've written these, I've never had to re-go through them because I was able to work through my thoughts. I was able
Yeah.
to put my ideas down on purpose and examine them and get them out. And I didn't have to blame somebody else for not understanding my feelings because they wanted to on purpose misunderstand me. And I just always find myself in these situations where people would rather misunderstand you in this world. So when it comes to my avatar perspective, when it comes to my reality tunnel, it is very hard to be able to find yourself in a place where you care so deeply about everyone around you, where all your thoughts ever since you were a child was, I have to be successful and get a job so I can take care of the people in my life who might not be successful, who might not make it, who might struggle. And then to find out that society on purpose doesn't care how hard you work, how kind you are, how good you want the world to be, because they would rather suppress you, especially if you want to help people. They will on purpose go out of your way to harm you because there are very bitter people in the world. And it's
Yeah.
so sad. It's so sad. Like, why are you,
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
if you're upset and you're hurting, you that's understandable. You deserve to be able to have your own feelings. But why are you bleeding all over everybody else? Why you got to take it out on every other person you see, especially your own family members? I feel horrible about all the people who love their grandparents and their parents and their aunts and uncles, and all of these people are suffering from some kind of delusion, psychosis, mania, schizophrenia, anything. And it's swept under the rug, it's hushed hushed, nobody has to take responsibility for anything. And whole time you have these people who are just trying to be loving and caring, and they're being cussed out every day, they're being talked down on, they're being abused physically, mentally, emotionally,
Oh,
they're being drugged. So it's like, what do we do when our people, the people that are our tribe members, they're supposed to be our leaders, our elders, our spiritual guides, and they are sick, they need help. We have generations of people who have been disenfranchised and disempowered, and they are confused. They have no sense of clarity. They don't know where they are in the world. They're so behind technologically. They have been miseducated. This is how
Mhm.
sick the world is. It is
yeah.
disturbing.
I think
So
I think what I've heard when you talked to us the other day, we got a glimpse of that as well. And both times listening to you tonight and on Wednesday, I have this just instinct that because I asked myself, how did you get through it? How did you end up the way you are of going through that? It's the same way I think of somebody like Morg being where they are now, coming from religious trauma and how much that I don't understand, you know, how some people like make it out and others don't. And I keep thinking about you, that you brought something with you. You brought, or like you just, even when you said the downloads, I was thinking, wow, you are getting something from another part of you and it, or the collective, and it's coming into you, that ability to do that where other people would just not make it, because there's a reason that you ended up being able to work your way through it when so many people can't. And
it's
Now you
hard.
guys see why we wanted to have Leon and talk
yeah,
about reality
yeah,
tunnel.
you're gonna need to go and
I'm
look at
sorry,
the
Laura.
comments. Why,
Thank you
what?
guys. I'm glad.
Aw,
She said she's crying.
I know.
Yeah,
See,
it's hard.
that's how we felt talking to Lee the other day, and I just envision many more conversations. You have a. That's when I said you have a lot you can bring. You have a lot of passion, and you have a lot of experience in and knowledge in great areas. Um,
Let's see in the chat. Everybody say they want Lee to come back.
yeah, absolutely. I have a feeling this is
Let's
gonna,
see. I want to see it in the chat. Say
yeah.
me, me,
Oh
me.
my gosh, you guys are crazy.
And
Oh, I do, but
Yeah.
Philip, I think that my reality tunnel currently has maybe been the healthiest I've ever been in my entire life. And Susan, you're asking like, how was I able to make it out? Morg, maybe earlier this month or sometime last month, somebody was also asking about um their past. And
yes,
Morgan
Mark.
pretty much was just like, I was delusional and I decided I didn't want to be delusional anymore. Like I was
Yeah,
like, I that's what actually
same
happened.
thing.
I woke up and I realized I was like, something is wrong. People actually believe in this nonsense. I didn't realize that I didn't actually believe in a lot of the stuff the same way other people believe in it. And I think that also really helped me break away from things because I'm like, I'm a writer. I think about fantasy. I know I'm the one creating the fantasy. I know I'm the one
Yeah.
creating the narrative, the mythos, all of that stuff. And I want it to be in a way that others can understand. And one of the greatest struggles I have is just the simple fact that when I want to communicate with others, others don't understand. And I've struggled with that my whole life because I
Yeah.
want
That
people to
can be
understand and
tough.
they don't want to, you know?
I think when we do a topic on will forming, Lee is going to have a lot to say about that, especially with your background in
Do you see
magic.
everybody in the chat
Yeah, you're looking at the
saying
comments.
yes, yes, yes? Please come back.
I oh good, you responded too. Um, I I just think that this has been an amazing time. I knew everybody was going to love your passion, your joy. You're a joy to talk to, and you have so much experience and knowledge and areas to talk about. I just love it. We will have you back. I already start thinking about different topics that you'd be good for, and but we are also going to start seeing, other people in the community.
Yeah, if
Hopefully,
any of
in
you others out there are kind of interested, you can always feel free to reach out to myself or Susan and
yeah,
just kind of,
yeah,
test the waters
yep,
and we can
and
talk about
you
things.
don't have to be too nervous because it would be in the members. I asked Lee to do the public one when I discovered in our Zoom that Lee had so much to say about reality tunnels and had written the article, and I just said, well, it would be a waste to only have you come in to the members. So
Yeah.
let's do the main one. But I really would like to get everybody to know the community. So that there's no pressure. It's just the members only is a nice place, and it's not a huge environment. But I can tell by the comments that tonight was a huge hit, really important, and I want to keep doing these kinds of streams. So we are way over time. We are way
I know.
over
I
time.
really appreciate you guys. Tonight was awesome. I really hope to be able to come back as often as possible because I really want this. Like
You're very
I'm
passionate
here.
about it,
I'm
and I
here.
love it. I love when people are that passionate about the community and the material and want to engage in it. And please tell us, and that not just you but everybody, tell us the areas you're interested in. I know Lee's very interested in interstar actualization, and making a difference in society. I love all of the topics. I've always been very interested in the math as well. But there is just always a lot to talk about. And even if it's just how any of you found your way to this material and makes you want to engage the most, what is the most important aspect of it to you. We love you guys. You're amazing. Thank you to everybody who
Thank you for
supported.
all the support.
Yeah, thank you so much for the support. I kind of forgot to say it at the end of the other one. It's been a little bit crazy night. We've had so much fun, and
And be sure and go and check out Lee's article.
yeah,
I posted the link
yep,
on the public stream.
yep.
I can
Follow,
do it again if
yep.
you
Put it
want.
in here and follow Lee. Check out our website, please. And I will be putting the public video up on there. I don't post the members only. But let me see. Is there anything else? We'll do the Quoka. I'm so sorry. My fault. Again, hi Ontology Dragon, and anybody else that I miss saying hi to who has snuck in. Um, I think that's it. I think we're going. I need to get some food. Thank you all.
You
Thank
guys
you
have a good
all.
night. I appreciate you guys. Like this has to continue.
It was, see, I told you you'd do great. I told you you'd love it. All right. Thank you to our moderators. Thank you to Elise. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to Jan. It's been great. Good night, everybody. See you
Bye.
next
See you
time.
later.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.